Glucosa plays. Elite fucking dangerous. Today's episode. Shooting artichokes out of Simon Cowell's ass.
Hello, and we come to Beta 3. And, well, this one introduces by far the least of the three. But it does have all of the features from Beta 1 and 2, so if you hadn't done the Beta before, you're going to find an awful lot here. However, if you've done Betas 1 and 2, yeah, not a great deal that has been added. This one is all about the two new ships. I mean, there are a few other things in here, and I mean a few, but yeah, it's really all about the new, the two new ships. So let's take a look at them. There you go. So the first one then is the Krait Phantom, which is a variant on the Krait Mark II. Krait Phantom is slightly cheaper. I matched Shinrata Desra, so obviously all of these prices are 10% lower than usual. But the Phantom is around about 7.5 million credits cheaper than the Mark II. It's also lighter. It's not a light ship, it's still a medium sized ship, but it is a lighter ship than the Mark II, so its top speed and its boost speed are both higher, not by a huge amount. I mean, you're looking at, you know, 11 meters per second improvement on the top speed. Now obviously with all of these figures, as you upgrade them, you know, upgrade the various modules and then engineer them as well, those differences are going to become wider, but by a huge amount, I doubt it. So yeah, top speed, boost speed. I mean, the boost speed difference is 21. It sounds okay, but I mean, it's really not all that. Maneuverability is pretty much the same. FSD range, the Phantom has a better FSD range. Again, not by a huge amount. Unladen 9.78 and unladen on the Mark II 9.01. So yeah. Now when it comes to like shields and armor, the Krait Mark II has better shields by a whole 2. And armour, the Krait Mark II again is better, 396 to 324. So you're looking at a difference there of 72. I mean, that is somewhat sizable. It's about the only difference between these two ships that is sizable. So, right, well, as far as all the other stuff like, you know, hard points and that, it would be easier if I just showed you the ship itself. So here's the one that I've got here. Let's get in it and show you the various modules and options available to you. So here we are. As you can see, the cockpit looks absolutely identical to the Krait Mark II. That should surprise absolutely nobody. And if you take a look at the outfitting, we'll start with, actually we won't start with optional internal, we'll start with core internal. They are identical. The Phantom and the Mark II all share exactly the same core internals. So now with regards to hard points, this is probably the only other major difference. The Phantom has 2 mediums just like the Mark II, and it has 2 large hard points, whereas the Mark II has 3. And yet this still has the same Class 7 power distributor, so I suspect you're going to be able to use weapons for a pretty fucking long time on this ship. Utility mounts exactly the same, 4 of them. So again, no difference between the Phantom and the Mark II. And then finally with the optional internals, so with this we have a Class 6, 3 Class 5, 3 Class 3s and a Class 2. Now with the Mark II you get 2 Class 6 and 2 Class 5, so a Class 6 internal is downgraded to a Class 5. And the Mark II has a Class 4 and 2 Class 3s, whereas this has 1 Class 3. Is that really enough to, you know, say, no, in that case I won't bother with this one? That's entirely a personal opinion, I suppose. Anyway, let's launch this thing and see how it flies. Now, I'll remind you, I've been playing a lot of No Man's Sky, so my piloting abilities in Elite Dangerous really have gone down the fucking Kazi faster than yesterday's Vindaloo.
Landing gear retracted. Landing restraints lifted. Moderate speed on exit.
Now, let's see if I can actually get out of here without fucking up. Yep. So, engine sound is exactly the same, no surprise. I have, as you may have seen, I fully upgraded this ship. I've also engineered it, not completely, there are no experimentals on here, and I think the beam lasers have only been upgraded to level 3 on the old engineering front. Anyway, so we'll slow down to attack speed, high attack speed. So you're going to be doing, we're still doing over 100. So with the grade 3, I mean, look at that, it fucking barely registers. So you have no problems there as far as the beam laser usage. Even with the heat, I mean, let's take a look. See how much I have engineered these. Oh, they are at 5, okay. So the only things that I didn't upgrade up to 5, I don't think I've done the boosters up to 5, yeah, they're only at 3. I also haven't done the weight reduction on the sensors or the life support up to 3. Or, no, I haven't maxed them anyway, because I ran out of materials. So, I mean, blasting away here, my heat, which was at 35 when I'm, you know, cruising along, it goes up to 4, I think it goes up to 45, did it? And then it just stops there. It just was not going up anymore. Okay, 47, so it is still going up. But I mean, you know, at this rate, I mean, that's unbelievable. And then with the shot cannons, yeah, they are taking the heat up a fair bit. So, you know, maybe the thermal vent would be handy with this thing after all. I didn't mean to boost there, that's me trying to look at the tab. I told you I'm too used to playing No Man's Sky. Anyway, well, let's
Frameshift drive charging.
see if we can find any
4, 3, 2, 1, engage.
conflict zones. not conflict zones, any weapons fire signals. There's a signal of some kind here. What is it? Encoded emissions. No fucking good to me. I thought that was something there. No, fuck all. Where did everything just go? One other change that I've noticed with this is that the movement within here is now the mouse like sensitivity is absolute shit. It's so low. Weapons fire detected. How far away is that? 1819. That's not too bad. Convoy dispersal. No, I'm not interested in you. Alright, let's target this. Threat 1. It's not exactly going to be a difficult fight, this, but at least there is something here. So as you saw, the old jump there as you move around, yeah, that glitch is still here. So is the one where you sometimes turn and the whole screen looks like it's about to turn, then suddenly snaps back into place. Yeah, that one's still there. So yeah, so much for the bug fixes so far. Two of the most irritating glitches in the game are still present. Actually, 3 of them are still present. That the bottom left panel there, where it's currently showing distance and speed, that still keeps moving. It's only been doing that for 2 years, you know, actually 3 years now. Now, speaking of something that has taken a long time, one change in this that I am a fan of, when you activate the lights, if you look in the top right in the info panel, ta-da, we actually now get an icon letting us know that the lights are on. At long fucking last. I mean, that's a useful feature. It's only taken 4 years. Yes. Anyway, let's slow down a bit and take a look at this thing from the outside. I do have keys bound to this, but I can't fucking remember off them. So yeah, I mean, it really does look pretty much identical to the Krait Mark II. And if anyone is surprised by that, then, well, So we've got plenty of time for this weapons fire signal source. It's still here for another 14 minutes. Also got over, yeah, put it back in the combat mode. So I keep forgetting about that. I use the discovery scanner, so it switched modes for me. Now, last time I came into one of these weapons fire detected areas, it was when I was first trying the 2 new ships, and it said threat 1, and there was an anaconda in there. I mean, I destroyed it, no problem, but I wasn't expecting an anaconda in a threat 1 weapons fire detected signal source. So what have we got here? That one's clean.
Scan detected.
Another Krait Phantom. Well, he's wanted. Okay, let's have a go at this cunt then.
Under attack.
Right, yeah, I wouldn't be saying he was difficult.
Target destroyed.
So this one scanned me, it's a fucking Imperial Courier. This is not going to be difficult.
Scan detected. Target shields offline. Frameshift charge detected. Target destroyed.
Do you remember when Engineers was first introduced? And there was the much touted improvement to the NPC AI. What the fuck happened to that? Anyway, well, that's the Krait Phantom.
Frameshift drive charging.
Isn't that great?
4.
If you've already got a Krait, you know, you got the Mark II.
Engage.
There is absolutely no reason at all to get this. If you haven't got the Krait Mark II, then, you know, I mean, the Krait is a decent ship, but even though this is about 7.5 million credits cheaper, if you can afford one of these, getting the extra 7.5 million will take you no fucking time at all. And then you get a ship which has much, you know, has better firepower. You got 3 large hardpoints as opposed to 2. It has better armour, better shields. It may be slower, but not by much. It may have less of a jump range, but again, not by much. I mean, you can still get over 40 light years, you know, if you use a Guardian FSD booster. When we dock back at Jameson base, I'll have a quick look at my Krait Mark II, which is based in Ark, and see what the range is on that thing. But I mean, yeah, I know it's in the 40s, so it's no slouch. And you have more options in the internal modules. So although the differences are slight, I really do not see why you would get the Phantom over the Mark II, even though the Phantom is cheaper. So yeah, okay, it's a new ship, but it's not a good one. Yeah, I've only just spotted what I'm doing here as well. I'm going to Jameson base. I'm meant to be going to Jameson Memorial. Fucking hell. Can you tell I haven't slept properly in 3 days? none of the engineers here have had anything, you know, changed for the beta. They will only, you know, mod the particular items that they do normally. I was hoping that you could, you know, mod everything at the one engineer, so I could just go there, get the experimentals fitted, and then see how the ships do with them. But no, not happening. And with this outfitted, I can't remember now where it is. I think, yeah. I mean, I will do currently 41.95 light years, 43.42 unladen. I've got a Guardian FSD booster there. It is a class 5, so it is the highest you can have. But it hasn't had the experimental mod applied to the FSD. So obviously it could be higher than that. So the bottom line then with the Krait Phantom is, if you already have a Krait Mark II, there is absolutely no reason to, you know, think about getting one of these. And if you don't have the Mark II yet, I'll still say go one of those instead of this. Yeah, it's just. It just doesn't do anything for us. It's not a crap ship, not at all, but the Mark II is just better. Alright, so
docking successful. Commence power down. It's good to have you with us, Commander.
So Krait Mark II. I'm not all that impressed. So that brings us then to the second new ship, which is the one that more people were interested in. And that is the Mamba. The Mamba was in the original Elite, or at least it was in the original Commodore 64 version, and it was also in the two 16-bit versions. But I know it definitely wasn't in the Spectrum version. I can't remember if it was in the BBC Micro version or not. So depending on which version of Elite you had, if you did have the original, you may be familiar with this ship, or at least familiar with the name. But you look at what the Mamba looks like now, and you think it looked fuck all like that, and you'd be right. Anyway, the Mamba is basically now a variant. Even though it has a different name, it's a variant of the Fer de Lance. Now, this is more expensive It's the Mamba is about, well, say it's about 3.7 million more expensive. But in terms of speed, whether it's top speed or boost, yes, the Mamba is faster. In terms of FSD range, again, the Mamba is better, but I mean, laden, well, this is all to do actually with the amount of cargo space I think it has in the default. But I mean, we are talking a difference at, you know, stock of 0.06. I mean, the jump range for both ships is absolute shite anyway, but nevertheless, the Mamba does have a better jump range than the Fer de Lance. As far as shields and armour, the Fer de Lance is certainly better. Shields, I mean, it's not hugely different. It's a bit like the difference between the Krait Phantom and the Mark II. With these, yeah, I mean, shields for the Mamba 244, for the Fer de Lance 271, armour on the Fer de Lance 405. So actually on the Mamba it's higher by 9. And then, right, well, with the hard points and the internal options, I guess, again, it will show you what they are. Might take a look at my one. So there we go, there's the cockpit view, and if you're thinking that those two long protuberances from the main hull are obstructive, yeah, they are. Not massively, but they are. So let's take a look then at outfitting. So we'll start with core internals, and as far as the differences between this and the Fer de Lance go, there are none. They are exactly the same. So yeah, and obviously a class 4 frameshift drive, it's never going to have a great jump range. I mean, I'm getting 24, say at worst I'm going to get 24.89, and that's even with military grade composite bulkheads fitted. So it's, you know, it could be worse, but it is not good. You certainly can't say it's a good jump range. It's not, and that is with Guardian FSD booster fitted. In terms of optional internals, the differences are that okay, you got a grade 5 shield generator. I believe the Fer de Lance has fucking forgotten. The Fer de Lance either has 2 grade 3s. Yes, no. It either has 2 grade 3s, or it has, this is a grade 5, or this is a grade 4. But it's very, very similar. And then the other difference is down here, where this has 2 grade 2s, the Fer de Lance has a grade 2 and a grade 1. Or class, you know what I'm saying. So there's very little difference. It's the same total number of optional internal slots, i.e., well, bugger all, fucking 5 of them, core. And yeah, I know with the Fer de Lance, so this bottom one is class 1, then it has a class 2. It's either class 4, 4, 5, or it's class 3, 5, 5. It's something. Either one of those, but either way, you are not getting much difference in what you can install here. The Federlance is also slightly more manoeuvrable. So the only thing that this has so far over the Federlance is speed. So anyway, let's go back. Utility mounts, exactly the same. Both have 6. So nothing more to say there. And then finally with the hard points, here is where we get some difference. So like the Federlance, this has a class 4, huge hard point. This one is on top of the ship, whereas with the Federlance it's underneath. So hardpoint positioning might be something to think about. Then you get two large hardpoints either side. Whereas with the Federlance, after the huge hardpoint, all the rest are all mediums, class 2s. So yeah, 2 large hardpoints along with a huge hardpoint. That's pretty fucking impressive. And then you get 2 fucking class 1s, smalls. And what's the fucking point? So what is good about having the 2 large hardpoints is then completely undone by the fact you've got 2 pissant small hardpoints. I mean, I've got cannons fitted to them here, but I mean, you know, normally if I have class 1 hardpoints, especially now that I'm playing it, I would fit missiles. But the only reason I fit missiles is to, you know, go after a ship that I can't keep up with. Well, supposedly in a Mamba, you don't have that problem. You can keep up with anything and overtake just about anything. So with the class 1 hardpoints, then I would say, you know, railguns, maybe those fucking, I've forgotten the fucking names of them. So much so I'm gonna have to fucking look it up. Shot cannon, that's it. See, I knew I'd remember eventually. Incidentally, for some reason, a few of these weapons which are gimbaled have the fixed icon showing there. I don't know why, but once you've installed it, you get the gimbaled icon appearing here. So yeah, with the weaponry on here, yeah, 2 very good points, 2 very bad points. Now when you consider, say, that with the Federlance you still get the huge hard point, and then you get 4 mediums, at least it means you don't have any fucking useless smalls, but obviously because no large. So yeah, that's about the only choice you need to make. It's, like I say, the Federlance though has better shields, has better manoeuvrability as well, and it's cheaper. Its speed is not everything. Now let's quickly, yes, take a look within I'll take a look at the ship within the hangar. Firstly, you look at the paint job. That's definitely a Federlance paint job, that. And you look at the wings here. Well, they are definitely Federlance wings. And you look at the engines. Yeah, they are Federlance engines. So, when it comes to you know, looking for something original on this ship, you are going to basically have to look at the front. Oh, fuck it now, what am I doing? Here we go. And yeah, at last I found the right key. I mean, Yeah, I think it's a fucking ugly looking thing, to be honest. I'm not that keen on it visually, but nevertheless, it's not about how it looks. Let's see how it performs. So, the other thing, of course, is as well as its shitty jump range, and again this also applies to the Federals, it has a tiny fucking fuel tank, only 8 tons. So here we go.
Detachment complete. Maintain correct lane on exit.
Now you'll notice I have no pips to engines here, because even if I just enter the blue zone, I'm doing 156. I'm not that keen on speeding within the docking stations, but yeah. No pips to engines, 156 when you're just in the blue zone, or 154 here. If we put pips to engines, obviously I have fully upgraded and fully engineered this ship without any experimentals. So we're at 475, and with the boost.
Station restriction. Have a safe journey.
So 581 boost. So it's certainly fast, and it has that over the Federals. But apart from that and the 2 large weapon hardpoints, which, as I say, I think is then completely undone by the 2 smalls, this ship doesn't really have anything that makes me think, yeah, I'll get this. You know, I won't bother with a Federals, I'll have one of these instead. And yeah, okay, there is a slight variation in the engine sound, but they do sound very fucking similar. So even that is not that much different. Oh yes, my yeah, I slightly changed the Covas in this ship. Anyway, let's slow down and see what signals we can find here. Again, we want not those. We want weapons signals. Right. Grading. Come on, give us something to fucking shoot at. What's this? Weapons fire. There we go. How far away is it? This is more or less exactly the same place as I was at last time. Right, well, let's target it anyway. And remember to go back into combat mode. So let's see how this thing does, because while I said that you know, in general they're very similar, this and the Federals, this does have one serious Achilles heel, which you are, well, hopefully I'm about to demonstrate. Now I've got grade 5 efficient weapon mods fitted to the beam lasers. Actually, I haven't modded the cannons at all. They're the only things I didn't mod. It really isn't much point. It's not going to change how the ship performs too much. I didn't mod the power plants massively, if memory serves. Yes, I did. It must have been the Krait that I didn't mod so much. produces 81, so I really didn't need to mod the power plant as much as I have. Interdictor, but I don't. Would be handy, but you know, especially in a ship like this, rather like in the original Elite, this ship does look like being one that is going to appeal to pirates because of its speed. And let's face it, it does have some decent firepower. So, you know, if you've got the speed to keep up with just about anything, and you're a pirate and you're going after smaller ships, so you can mass lock them if they're trying to get away, yeah, this thing could be a real cunt. But then again, so could the Feather Lance. Again, the Feather Lance just seems the better choice for whatever role you're looking at. Tell me that Eagle is one of the rocket ships. Who's that one that... oh, so a Python is scanning. Alright, so we go to attack speed, which is now 157 at the moment. Take him on. And look at the heat going up and up and up. That is the big problem. I mean, okay, I took him out, no problem, but then again, it's only a fucking novice Python. He was not going to be difficult. But, yeah, the heat levels, they are the big problem with this ship. It just runs far too fucking hot. Now, obviously, I've rather exasperated the issue by, you know, overcharging my power plant so much. But even with the power plant, you know, unmodded, it still runs very hot. So if you are going to mod the power plant, you definitely want to go with the experimental one that reduces the thermal output. And if you're going to fit beam lasers, then the thermal vent experimental is pretty much essential. But if you saw the live stream, you'll have seen that taking this ship pretty fast along a planet's surface, that will cause it to not only you know, not only have the temperature going up at a ridiculous rate, it will go up way beyond 100%, so you start taking damage, and you can't, you know, you can't use the thermal vent there So I think there is a bit of a problem with this ship. I don't know if they plan to keep it like this, or if they are going to sort out that heat problem. But to me, it definitely looks like a problem that needs sorting out. You may have noticed. You may have noticed that there is no Russian translation for frameshift drive. So when you take everything into account, then with regards to the Mamba, and then you throw in that heat issue, I see absolutely no reason at all for choosing to get this ship over the Fer de Lance. The Fer de Lance is just better in pretty much every way. Yes, this ship is faster, but is speed really that vital? And like I say, it's not like the Fer de Lance is a slow ship, it fucking well isn't. So, yeah, I mean, at least, well, I was about to say at least this isn't a variant like the Krait Phantom, but really it is. It's just a variant on the Fer de Lance, and it's not as good. So although it has a different name, and although it does actually look different, it's just a Fer de Lance variant which is inferior in all but armour, but only just, and speed, but speed isn't everything. And you know, it just means that it's faster than an already fast ship. So its main sort of selling point doesn't sell it for me. So, you know, I honestly think that of all the new stuff that's in Beta 3, for me, by far, the best thing is the addition of the icon there to tell us your lights are on. I am genuinely glad to see that, but, yeah, the two ships, neither of them do much for me. So, I mean, if you want this sort of fighter, go the Fer de Lance. It's just better by a long way. And of course, if you're looking for a Krait, go the Mark II Phantom. Just yeah, unless you are desperate for a Krait ship and can't afford the extra 7.5 million for the Mark II, yeah, there's no reason to go with the Phantom. Now, I do have to say that the best thing about the new ships in Beta 3 has nothing to do with what ships have actually been included, and has everything to do with what isn't here.
We are happy to have you, Commander. Please note that all station services are at your disposal.
Yeah, I couldn't move the fucking selector there.
Request approved. Clear to land at Docking Bay 03.
Now, well, ever since the initial build-up to Beta 1, loads of people on the forums, including an awful lot of the fucking brown-noser cunts, were saying that the new ship was going to be something completely different to the Mamba. And the reason they were saying this is because there was some bullshit post made on Reddit, which was completely made up, pure fiction, which was supposedly a leaked memo from Frontier Developments saying what was going to be in Beta 3, all of the new features, not just, actually, yeah, not just Beta 3, the whole of the 3.3 beta. And I was straight away thinking, right, well, this clearly isn't right, because it included the graphics improvement for Icy Worlds, which Frontier Developments announced was not going to be in this after all. I seem to remember there was somebody who, when Beyond started at the start of the year, showed the mocked up graphics for the improved Icy World and said you'd have to be staggeringly naive to believe that it would look anything like this or even be in the game by the end of the year. I wish I could remember who it was that did that video and said that. It's a fucking mystery. Anyway, so yeah, so this fake memo mentioned Icy Worlds, which Frontier Developments had already said was not going to be in it. So I knew it was fucking bollocks. But there were plenty of people, and I'll say including plenty of the fucking brown noses, who were saying, oh yeah, this is legit, yeah, it's got to be right and all this. And a lot of them were all but saying it was official. It may as well have said that, you know, this was officially what Frontier Developments had announced. And this bullshit memo said that a new ship would be the Panther Clipper. And even up until an hour before Beta 3 started, some of these people were still saying, oh yeah, Panther Clipper is going to be in Beta 3. And it isn't. And personally, I think that is the best feature, not only of Beta 3, but of the entire 3.3 beta in general, because it made those fucking cuntish fucking brown noses look like the kind of fucking moronic bellends that they are. Part of me would like to believe that the Panther Clipper was going to be in this, and on seeing that memo and seeing the reaction from all these cunts about that memo, Frontier Developments decided, right, we're going to be really cuntish about this and we're going to remove it. I just say I have no idea if they did that or not. I highly doubt it, but I think it would be fucking great if they had. So anyway, that is 3.3 Beta 3. The two new ships, I mean, yeah, okay, it's bumped up the ship count, so we now have 38 ships, but these two, not worth bothering with, really. I say, as far as the Mamba goes, the Fer de Lance is just a much better ship, and it's cheaper, as if you needed any more reason. And with the Krait Phantom, I mean, it's not a crap ship at all, but the Krait Mark II is better, just, and, you know, even though it's 7.5 million cheaper, like I said at the start, if you can afford to buy a Phantom, then, you know, making the extra credits to get the Mark II, you'd do it in the blink of an eye. So I think both ships are just making up the numbers, and yes, they'll probably be okay seeing them as NPC ships, but having them yourself, I just don't see it. One last thing before we end the video. In the first one I was going on about how things are changed for the sake of change, and you know, particularly with regards to you know, the whole codex thing, being able, you know, having to go through here and then here and then here to finally see your fucking stats. And, you know, how the fuck is that, you know, more convenient? Answer, it isn't. Well, the same thing has happened with regards to contacts. So I was supposed to point this out in the very first video, and I forgot. And then I forgot to do it in the second one, because so it's been like this ever since beta 3.3 started. So you go to the contacts, and whereas previously you had all of the different contacts in a list down here, they're now up here. So you click on that, so I can redeem my vouchers. Cool. Make all the difference to the beta, won't it? And so now if you want to do something else, well, the list isn't here, so you've now got to click back, and then you've got to click here, and it keeps coming up with this science and research contacts, and yet there's nothing there. And then when you click back, well, okay, it hasn't done it here, but in some systems it then disappears. It was doing that in HIP 16607 when I was there for the mining video. So you go to the technology broker, obviously I've already unlocked everything, nothing there. So, and instead of being able to just click on the next thing here, you've got to click back. How is this better? How is this an improvement over what was previously there? It's not. This really is change for the sake of change, and it is a change for the worse. Now obviously, you know, people say, well, it's one more mouse click, it's not that big a deal. Well, yeah, okay, that may well be true, it is only one more mouse click, but the old system, you didn't need to do that. The old system was better. This is not an improvement, this is just a change. The old system didn't need changing, but they've gone ahead and changed it anyway, for no reason at all. It's a fucking waste of time, and it's not as good as it was. I fail to see how anyone could argue with that. Well, obviously no one will. People will downvote the video because I've said it, but they won't actually say anything, you know, they won't provide any sort of counter argument or anything, because they never do. But anyway, yeah, so that is yeah, that is beta 3.3 or beta 3 anyway. Of the three beta versions, it's the one that's brought in the least additional stuff. But when you add the three together, yeah, there is quite a lot that has changed. So yeah, I still maintain, if you don't usually bother with betas, I would bother with this one, and you know, get used to the changes that have come about with, you know, changing mode in, you know, the cockpit mode, and then the new scanning, system scanning, and the new mining. Yeah, they're going to take some getting used to. The new ships aren't, because, well, especially as I don't think they're worth bothering with anyway. All that. So that brings this one to an end. I don't think I'll be doing any more Elite Dangerous beta videos, because I don't see what else they're going to add that they already have. I think this is it. We're not getting the last carriers for squadrons. So yeah, that's not coming along. I've already had two people telling me they're interested in joining Lucosa's cunts. So when that squadron starts, I don't think I'm going to start it up immediately 3.3 goes live, but I'll probably start it up not long after 3.3 starts. So So yeah, anybody else who is thinking of joining, let us know, and yeah, I'm sure that will be wonderful. Right, so that is it for this one. Now go away.